Mysterious drones over New Jersey.
Yeah.
They're flying near airports, military bases, even reservoirs.
Yeah.
And no one seems to know where they're coming from or what they're doing.
Right.
What we do know is that it's been going on for weeks.
Yeah.
And it's starting to feel like something straight out of an X-Files episode.
Yeah.
We've got eyewitness accounts from elected officials,
Wow.
hazmat suit recommendations for handling down drones, and a whole lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah.
Joining me today to make sense of all this is an expert in making sense of really complex situations.
Glad to be here.
Welcome.
It's certainly a perplexing situation.
It is. So let's dive right into the heart of the mystery.
Okay.
What makes these drone sightings so strange, so different from, say, your average hobbyist out for a spin?
Several things. First, these drones are violating FAA regulations left and right. They're flying at night, which is generally prohibited.
Yeah.
And they're exhibiting some truly bizarre flight patterns. Erratic movements, hovering, sudden changes in altitude. Things you just wouldn't see with a typical drone.
That's weird.
And when police helicopters have tried to get a closer look, these drones have seemingly vanished, disappearing from radar and sight.
Vanishing.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
It is.
And there's the incident near Newark Airport, right?
Yeah.
A police officer who also happens to be a licensed drone pilot captured footage of one of these drones behaving very oddly.
Exactly. This suggests a level of sophistication that goes beyond your run-of-the-mill drone. We're potentially talking about advanced technology, potentially autonomous capabilities, which brings us to the million-dollar question.
Right.
Who's operating these things?
Right. The theories are flying almost as fast as the drones themselves. So let's break them down. First up, misidentification.
Okay.
Officials have suggested that many of these sightings are just airplanes mistaken for drones in the dark.
It's possible, but it doesn't quite add up.
Yeah.
We have too many credible eyewitnesses, including trained observers describing very specific drone-like behavior. And even if some sightings are misidentified, that doesn't explain the truly unusual activity that's been reported.
Okay, so probably not just confused airplane spotters.
Right.
What about hobbyists pushing the limits?
Again, unlikely. The scale of this operation, the coordination, the blatant disregard for regulations, it all points to something much more organized and deliberate.
So hobbyists are out? Could it be a commercial operation of some kind?
Even commercial drone operations are subject to FAA oversight. These drones are breaking the rules in ways that would likely get any legitimate company shut down pretty quickly.
All right, so if it's not misidentification hobbyists or a rogue commercial operation, we're left with some more unsettling possibilities.
Right.
Foreign actors, government agencies.
Yeah.
It's starting to feel like a spy thriller. What do you think, given your expertise?
Well, each of those possibilities has its own set of implications and raises a whole new set of questions. Let's start with foreign actors. It's certainly a concern. If a foreign government is operating drones over U.S. soil, especially near sensitive infrastructure, that's a major security breach. But it raises the question of why. What would their objective be?
Yeah.
And why haven't we seen a more forceful response from the U.S. government?
If it is a foreign government, are they just gathering intelligence? Probing our defenses? Or is there something more nefarious at play?
Right.
It's unsettling to think about.
Absolutely. And then there's the possibility that these are actually U.S. government drones. Perhaps some agency is conducting covert surveillance or testing new technologies. But if that's the case, why the secrecy?
Right.
Why not be upfront with the public, at least to some degree? This lack of transparency is breeding fear and distrust.
It makes you wonder what else might be going on that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So we've got a whole range of possibilities here,
Yeah.
each with its own set of implications.
Yeah, right.
I mean, what do you think is the most likely explanation?
I think the most important takeaway, regardless of who is behind these drones, is that this situation highlights a growing tension between technology, security, and transparency in our society. These drones, whatever their purpose, represent a capability that many people find unsettling, and the government's response, or lack thereof, is only amplifying those anxieties.
It definitely raises questions about privacy, surveillance, and the balance of power in the digital age.
Yeah.
We're going to delve into those questions in more detail in just a bit. But first, let's take a closer look at how local officials are reacting to these mysterious drones.
Okay.
Local officials in New Jersey.
Yeah.
The epicenter of these drone sightings are understandably on edge.
Right.
They're being bombarded with questions from their constituents, and they don't have a lot of answers to give.
Right. They're caught in the middle.
Right.
They're trying to reassure the public while also acknowledging the very real concerns that these drones are raising.
Like Michael Mellom, the mayor of Belleville, New Jersey. He's been very vocal about this.
Yeah.
He's convinced that these RE drones, not misidentified planes, and he wants answers regardless of who's operating them. Right. He's called for more transparency from the government.
And his frustration is understandable. He, like many others, feels like they're being kept in the dark. And the longer this goes on without a clear explanation, the more the speculation and anxiety will grow.
Then there's Mike Gasali, the mayor of Montvale, New Jersey. He's so concerned that he issued what he called a no-drone zone over his town. Although, as he admitted, he doesn't actually have the authority to enforce that. He even told residents not to shoot at the drones.
It's a bit of a symbolic gesture, but it speaks volumes about the level of unease this is causing. You imagine feeling so unnerved by these unidentified objects flying overhead that you feel the need to tell people not to shoot at them.
It's like something out of a science fiction movie.
Right.
But this is happening in real life in American suburbs. And this lack of clear information, the silence from the government, it's not helping. It's fueling all sorts of conspiracy theories and distrust.
Exactly. Even if the government can't reveal everything due to legitimate security concerns, some level of communication would go a long way in calming public fears. As Chad Wolf, the former acting Homeland Security Secretary, has pointed out, informing the public, even if it's not the full story, is always better than silence. Silence breeds suspicion.
It makes you wonder what they're so afraid of.
Yeah.
Is it just a matter of protecting sensitive information, or is there something more they're not telling us?
That's the crux of the issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
This situation exposes a fundamental tension in a democratic society. We need security, but we also need transparency.
Right.
We need to trust our government to protect us, but we also need to hold them accountable for their actions.
It feels like we're at a crossroads. Technology is advancing so rapidly that our systems of governance and accountability are struggling to keep up.
And these drone sightings, unsettling as they are forcing us to confront these issues head on. We're being asked to consider what level of surveillance we're comfortable with, what trade-offs we're willing to make between security and privacy.
It's not just about drones either. It's about facial recognition technology, artificial intelligence, all these powerful tools that are being developed, and the potential for them to be misused. We need to have serious conversations about how to harness these technologies for good while also safeguarding against their potential for harm.
It's a new world for sure, full of possibilities, but also potential pitfalls.
And it's up to us to navigate it wisely.
That's a powerful way to put it. We can't simply react to each new technological development. We need to be thinking ahead, anticipating the challenges, and putting safeguards in place.
So let's bring this back to the drones. This isn't just some isolated incident. It's a microcosm of a much larger trend. As these technologies become more sophisticated, more accessible, the lines between the physical and the digital, the public and the private, are blurring.
Exactly. And that raises all sorts of ethical and legal questions. Who owns the data these drones are collecting? Who has access to it? What are the rules of engagement? These are questions we need to grapple with, and we need to do it now before these technologies become so pervasive that we lose control of them.
It's about setting boundaries, about defining what's acceptable and what's not in this new technological landscape. We can't let fear dictate our actions, but we can't be naive either.
Right. It's about finding that balance, that sweet spot between innovation and responsibility. And it's going to require a collective effort. Government, industry, individuals. We all have a role to play.
It's a call to action for all of us, to stay informed, to engage in these conversations, to demand transparency and accountability from those in power. Because ultimately, the future of technology is the future of humanity. And that's a future we all have a stake in shaping.
I couldn't agree more. This situation with the drones is a reminder that technology is not neutral. It's a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. It's up to us to determine how it's used, how it shapes our world, our lives, our future.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the mystery of the drones, I want to leave you with this thought. Imagine for a moment that these drones are government assets. What does that tell us about the state of our democracy, about the balance between security and privacy, about the level of trust between the government and the people?
Those are profound questions, and they deserve our careful consideration. This incident, with all its unsettling implications, is an opportunity for us to have a national conversation about the kind of society we want to live in, about the role we want technology to play in our lives.
It's a conversation that's overdue, and it's one we can't afford to ignore.
We need to engage in this dialogue with open minds, with a willingness to listen to different perspectives, to weigh the costs and benefits, to think critically about the long-term implications of our choices.
Because the decisions we make today will have consequences that will ripple far into the future.
And it's not just about policy decisions, about laws and regulations. It's also about individual choices, about the way we interact with technology, about the values that we prioritize.
It's about being mindful, about being deliberate, about recognizing that every click, every swipe, every interaction with technology is a choice that shapes not only our own lives, but the world around us.
So as you go about your day, as you engage with the digital world, ask yourself, what kind of future am I creating? What kind of world do I want to live in? And what role am I playing in shaping that future?
It's a powerful message, and one we all need to hear. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the mystery of the drones. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. Let us know what you think about all of this down in the comments. If you like what we're doing here, please give this video a like. We'll continue to follow this story as it unfolds, and we encourage you to stay engaged, to stay curious, and to stay informed.